Hey guys, it's Mario from WATL, and today I'm going to talk to you about the 2021 axe throwing rules. We've updated it since our last video, which was back in 2018, so this one has everything you need to know about axe throwing. The first thing that we're going to start off is the code of conduct. At the World Axe Throwing League, we do have a code of conduct that we expect all throwers to abide by. It's the basic stuff that you would expect from any professional sports organization. That includes things like sportsmanship, being respectful to the officials, to the players, and not engaging in any sort of behavior that would alter the outcome of any sort of game. I'm not going to spend too much time on the code of conduct. All that is available on the axe throwing rules page on the worldaxethrowingleague.com. So for more details, check that out. Now I'm going to jump right into the specifics of axe throwing. The first thing that matters the most in axe throwing is safety. We're really proud of the industry and the rule set and the safety regulations that we created in the industry, because we have not had any sort of major injuries in the sport. And even though we're throwing axes and they are sharp, it is actually extremely safe as long as you follow the rules. One of the main rules is you can't throw a broken axe. So if you have an axe head that is kind of loose, it's, maybe part of the handle's broken, don't throw that axe. That's one of the key fundamental rules to safety. The other one is the golden rule of axe throwing. You throw together, you retrieve together, period. What that means is if my opponent throws an axe and he walks towards it, I'm actually going to call him and say, hey, wait, I haven't thrown yet. Or if you're in a facility, a coach might actually pull them back and say, hey, hold on, don't throw yet. So again, the idea is you never throw when anyone is downrange. It's rare for an axe to ricochet because they're not knives, they're heavier objects, and it doesn't typically ricochet left or right. So even though we have that golden rule and you accidentally throw it, it's very rare for it to kind of bounce to the side and be able to hit that person anyhow. Basically, it's very difficult to hit anyone else. So that's the core basics of it. Throw together, retrieve together. So now we're going to talk quickly about the lanes and the setup that you see in a facility. So typically lanes are about 12 feet wide, and that's because each one of these boards is about 4 feet. So quick math, you got 4 feet, 4 feet, that's 8 feet. You got about 1 foot in each side, that's 10 feet. And we like to leave about 2 feet in the middle, or 1.5 feet. That ends up being about 11.5 to 12 feet. That makes it so you have ample room where you're not crowding the targets where people are throwing too close together. So this is the ideal setup. Now, every facility has its own constraints. So these are general guidelines that we give. Sometimes you might have lanes that are maybe 11 feet or 10.5 feet, and you can still do it because each of the boards, again, are only 4 feet wide. Now, I'm not going to get into the targets yet. That's something that I'm going to go into detail a bit later on. But basic fundamentals are the lanes are generally 12 feet. We are actually throwing from the 12-foot line on hatchet, so that is a hard stop. The one thing that's important that has changed from the 2018 video, if you've seen that video, is you can no longer throw. So the old rules where you would be able to throw and you could step over. So you're able to make that step throw over, but now in the 2021 rules and the new updated rules, you can't step. So it's an invisible barrier. You actually cannot step over that line until the ref has scored your throw. The second thing we're going to talk about is the other key thing that is the core element of the sport is the axe. So axe rules and axe specifications. The blade cannot be more than 4 inches. So it's a max of 4 inches on the blade. So if the bit is any longer than that, it's not allowed by WATL standards. The other thing that you can do is you can have longer handles. So folks like me, I like to give it a nice light throw. When you give it a light toss, you actually need a longer handle because you're not putting that much force in order for it to rotate quickly. So if you have a shorter handle, generally that means you throw it either harder, or maybe you have, or maybe you're taller or shorter, depending on your height. Everything has an impact on the throw, but no matter what, you can't get it to be more than 19 inches. Total weight of the axe cannot be more than 3 pounds. That is a core regulation and a requirement for axe throwing. And again, generally speaking, this isn't a rule, but this is more of a tip, all the axes come extra sharp, similar to what you see with the ace of spades. The other rule that we have is you are not allowed any second bits or spikes at the end of the axes. If you do have a spike, that is not allowed. And if it rotates over and it lands on the spike, that is counted as a 0. The only part that counts, this is the scoring area that counts in the axe. Now, general rules of axe throwing. The axe must make at least one rotation. Generally speaking, because we have the 12-foot line set up, and because of the requirements of the axes and the handles and the weight, generally speaking, I can't see it being possible for anyone to be able to even do maybe a half rotation unless they're maybe throwing it this way or they're maybe doing some sort of a reverse throw. But either way, the way you have to throw the axe is the blade is facing the target. You have to throw it from 12 feet and then ultimately just release. The other thing that we have is we have a rule where you have 10 seconds to throw it from when the previous person threw. So if you're in a match and let's say you both line up at the line at the 12-foot mark, the other opponent throws, you can take your time. 10 seconds is actually a long time. So in order for you to set up, control your breathing, aim, and then release. Again, I probably did all that in under 3.5 seconds. So 10 seconds is a long time, but you must throw within that 10-second slot. Otherwise, that throw that you threw after that 10-second period is counted as a 0. The gameplay is simple. So now we're getting into actually throwing the axe. I've talked about the axe sizes, the rules, and the fact that you have to throw from 12 feet, but how does the game work? So the game, each match consists of 10 throws. What you do is you throw 5 throws in one lane, and then you switch and do 5 throws in the other lane. And I'll give you a perfect example why. Every board is completely different. No boards are exactly alike. For example, in this case, we have a cottonwood board or a poplar board, something that's nice and soft, easy to stick. On this one, we actually have pine, which is brutal. It is not a good board. You feel it crack. It is so dry. So to make things equal, we actually have throwers switch sides after 5 throws. So again, total of 10 throws. After 5 throws, you switch sides. The person who wins is the one with the most points after 10 throws. The maximum score that you can get in WATL is 64, and I will elaborate more on the scoring system shortly. Now, if you are tied on the 10th throw, it goes into what we call sudden death. You don't record the points in sudden death, but what you do is you're ultimately looking to hit the kill shot. So in sudden death, it's kill shot throws only. Now, if both players hit their kill shot and it lands, and I hit that one and the other player hit it, we then have to switch sides. That is a key element where you must switch the sides. So if it hits again, you keep going until someone either misses, or if you both miss, it's whoever is the closest to the kill shot. So if I scored here and my opponent is actually closer, the opponent, because they're maybe half an inch away and I was maybe about 2 inches, they win that match. So it comes down to who is the closest to the kill shot in overtime throws, or who hit it and who missed it. Very simple. During the 10 throws of a match, you have the ability to call the kill shot twice. So there's 2 kill shot attempts, and with those kill shot attempts, that's how you get the perfect score of 64. Now, a kill shot can be called at any point. It could be your first throw, it could be your second, it could be your 9th, it could be your 10th. It could be your 4th and 5th. It doesn't matter. It's up to you. You get to make that call on when you decide to hit the kill shot. Now, when you do make a call and you do hit the kill shot, similar to the overtime rule, you switch. Since you've hit that one, you have to go for the next one on your next kill shot attempt. If you miss the first one and you're off to the side, you can go for that same kill shot again. So the alternating rule only applies when you hit the kill shot twice. If you have a drop in the match, and let's say you went for a kill shot or you have a drop in general, let's say you simply drop the axe, you are actually now allowed 3 kill shot attempts. That allows you to catch up or give you an opportunity to catch up, because that extra kill shot attempt can give you an extra 2-point scenario. Drops, especially at the higher levels in the tournaments, are rare because generally speaking, people have extremely sharp profiles. They have very refined axes that are meant for throwing. Now, that's very rare to happen, so we introduced the rule in order to give these elite players the opportunity, and any player, to actually catch up. But in order to do that, they have to earn it. They have to hit three kill shots in order to catch up in the points, which is extremely tough, but it at least gives them a chance in case they had the drop. So again, just to summarize, if you do have a drop in a match, you're eligible for an extra kill shot attempt for a maximum of 3 kill shot attempts. And even with that drop, when you do the math, you still cannot complete the highest score, which is 64, because you had that initial drop. Now we're gonna show you what the scoring of the axe means when it's embedded in the wood. An example of that is if I hit the black. If it hits the black and there's black on both sides, I did not break the inside line, so this part is actually a part of the 4 system. So when you break paint, you have to make sure that the axe is embedded in that area. This right now is a 6. I got red on both sides, it's a 6. Now if it rotated like this, I'm no longer breaking that red paint, because if you look sideways, and part of what some people do is they stick a piece of paper underneath, and you can see that it's actually a 5. Even though from behind it, it looks like a 6. But when you go beside it and you look at both sides, there's space there and it is clearly a 5. So breaking paint is a key element of axe throwing. And I'm gonna speak about the scoring system afterwards on what counts with the red pen outline and the black pen outline and the lines, but breaking paint is how you determine what the score of an axe is. If you hit 2 areas, right? And let's say, and this is probably the perfect area. So I'm actually in the outside section of a 4, and I'm in the inside section of a 5. You get that higher point system. Even if you can break, let's say 3 areas. So right here is a perfect example of a very rare throw where I'm in the 4, I'm in the 5, I'm in the 6, you get the 6 points. So that is an easy 6 points for you. So again, when you break multiple points in the board, you will always get the higher point value. When you're determining what the score is, or whether it breaks paint or not, you cannot remove the axe. The axe has to be scored as it lands. So the key is to look at it from both sides. So if I look closely underneath, it doesn't look like I broke the 5. It kind of looks like it from this side, but again, you have to break it on both sides. So in this case, I'm trying to break past the black line. You can see that I don't do it on this side, but I am on this side. So this is clearly a 4. So I did not break that area in order to make it a 5. I cannot do this. I cannot lift it and say, well, you know, I can't tell. Well, yeah, maybe I kind of did, and you know, it's a 5. You can't do that. You have to look at it from both sides. All right, jumping into the scoring system. This is what you'll generally see as a standard house bullseye. And this is what you would see generally when you go into a wattle facility for non-league events. So what this means is, this is the old bullseye. This is what it used to look like. The bullseye was much bigger. You see the red. This is the new one. So this is the one that we're going off of in 2021 and going forward, where you basically have a smaller kill shot as the bullseye. That is 6. The inside area is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The kill shots are 8 points. The one thing to note is you have to break past the black line in order to get that higher point value. What that means is the black line basically represents the outer part of the ring, meaning if you hit this, that's a 4. If you hit this, but you're not in the inside part, that's a 3. If you hit the black line here, but you're not breaking there, that's a 2. So basically you have to break the black paint in order to get the higher point value. So jumping into the bullseye, you'll notice that the bullseye has this black pen right around it. What that black pen area means is if you break, and I'll give this as an example, see how there's red on this side. If you take a look at the other side, there's no red, it's all black. That black pen is an outline, a hard outline that determines what the bullseye is. If it's black on the one side and red on the other side, that counts. That black pen is a part of that. The reason we implemented this is we started getting a lot of bleeds in the kill shots, and we started getting bleeds on the bullseye. In order to eliminate the bleeds, we actually created the red pen system. And if you look closely at the kill shot, you'll see what I mean by bleeds. See how the blue is bleeding over the red? That's why we created the hard system where you have a red line. So again, if you have red on the one side and not blue, that counts as a kill shot. Even if you have the slightest grain of red, which you see here, it's just the slightest, maybe a millimeter thick, that is a good kill shot. Again, you can't lift the axe to determine if there's red on the outside. You have to count it as how it lands on the board. So again, the kill shots are blue, outlined with the red pen. That red pen is a part of the kill shot. The bullseye are colored in red with a black outline. That black outline is a part of the bullseye. So very simple, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Kill shots are 8. And again, you have to break past the black line in order to get the higher value system. If it's not breaking past it, meaning the axe is above it and it's not actually below it, meaning you're not crossing that threshold, you do not get that higher point system. So again, just a quick illustration, if you can see, that is a 4, this is now a 5. So all it takes is a slight rotation. Even though the axe basically landed the same way, this is the difference between an over rotation and a perfectly rotated axe, where it lands nice and flush, where you ultimately go from the 4 to a 6. That's how close these variables are in axe throwing, and making sure that you are landing properly in order to maximize the area that you're covering. And that's why the 4-inch coverage, that's why axes like the Butcher and the Ace of Spades are able to maximize the coverage points that you get in axe throwing. Last final thing to mention, if your axe lands and you threw it well, it stuck, the judge is walking over to check the score, and it dropped, that's a 0. So the axe has to be in place by the time the judge scores it. Sometimes, and it's perfectly okay to do this, what we like training our judges to do is to be proactive. If they see an axe that's about to fall out, even though it landed well, they might, and they see maybe some sort of a wiggling, they'll say 5, because you can easily tell, and then it drops. That counts. They get the 5 points because the point was called before the axe was dropped. Now, the one thing I forgot to mention is what happens when you ask for a second opinion. So if a judge calls your throw a 5, the other opponent, let's say, gets a 6, and you're looking at it and you say, you know what, I think that's a 6, can I get a second opinion? You're entitled to that second opinion. When you call for the second opinion, both players must actually return behind the 12-foot line. The idea is there's going to be no undue pressure on any of our judges, on any of the calls. We don't want anyone hanging on top of the judges, pressuring them, saying, no, check out that side. We want the judges to be completely independent from any sort of outside calls, any sort of outside pressures from any players. So the players must return behind the 12-foot line. The second judge will come in and discuss it with the presiding judge, and then ultimately that call will be made. Those are the basic rules of axe throwing. And it's, again, super simple. You generally have, these lanes that are 12 feet wide. You're throwing from 12 feet. You have 10 throws in each match. You switch sides after 5 throws. The kill shots can be called at any time during those matches. You must break paint. And again, the definition of breaking paint is you have to see the paint on both sides in order for it to count. In order for you to get the higher point system, you must break past that black line. So again, the black line counts as a part of the lower tier system. In order to get the higher one, you have to go past it and below it. In this case, if you want to get this area, you must score here. To get the 4 area, you must score below it. If you're above it, or even if you hit the black line, that doesn't count for that higher scoring system. And again, with judges, very simple. Let the judges make the call. Stand behind the 12-foot line. Do not cross the 12-foot line until both scores are called. Otherwise, you'll be counted as a 0. And basically treat that 12-foot line as an invisible barrier that you just cannot cross until the judge scores your throws. Target system, very simple. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 8. These are available on any throws in between 1 and 10. If you have a drop, you have an extra kill shot. Basically, that's it. Super simple stuff, very easy to follow. The other details and the other kind of small mechanic specifics, including the axe specifications, again, 4 inches, 19 inches, total weight, 3 pounds. All this stuff is available on worldaxethrowingleague.com. Just check out our axe throwing rules page, or just Google search WATL axe throwing rules, and you'll be able to find every single small nuance and details related to the sport. The purpose of this, and this is intended to be a high-level overview, so you have a quick understanding of the WATL rules, how it works, and how we play. The final thing to add, which I wanted to quickly mention, is when you're doing leagues and you're running leagues throughout the season, you get 10 throws and that's one match. You get 4 matches every single night, and then there's rules where, during COVID, you can miss up to 4 weeks and still make up those throws. So if you miss, 2 weeks on your 3rd week, you'll throw your current week, let's say it's week 4, and you miss week 3 and week 2. So you'll be throwing 3 weeks, that's 12 games that you'll be throwing that week in order to catch you up. So very basic, simple stuff. 4 matches per night. Each league season is 7 weeks long, with week 8 being playoffs. Tournaments are slightly different, where generally speaking, the matches are best 2 out of 3 is generally how it works, and they're generally double elimination tournaments is how we run it. Basically everything I've outlined is on the Axe Throwing Rules page. Again, check it out, and if you haven't already, follow us on Instagram, like us on Facebook, and follow us or subscribe to us on YouTube. Thanks a lot, everyone. Hope you guys enjoyed and hope this was helpful. If you have any comments, drop them down below. Appreciate it.